Begin with the President of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, condemning what he described as heinous and brutal attacks in Bokos and Barkin Ladi local government areas, which resulted in the tragic loss of about 160 lives. In a statement yesterday by his spokesman, Ajuri Ngalali, the President security agencies to immediately move in, scout every stretch of the zone, and apprehend the culprits. President Tinubu also directed immediate of relief resources for surviving victims of the primitive and cruel attacks, as well as medical treatment for the wounded. Now, you may recall that 60 people in Plateau State were killed in a series of attacks on Christmas Eve and the morning. Now, joining us virtually, we have Mr. Chukuma Okoro, analyst, and also joining us here in the studio, we have Dr. Ganiyu Oluwashola, who is managing partner of KJB. The introduction, please.
Well, it's managing partner KJB, Tax Audit Advisory.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of other things. The FCA titles: FCA, FCTI, ABR, CMP, PhD.
Okay.
Thank you to you for the Boxing Day gift.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It's a day after Boxing Day, and we're still getting gifts. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. The Plateau killings. Now, I want to go. I'm glad that the president has finally said something about it, but I want to take us back. Plateau State has always been a state where people go to tourism center, where people would love to visit with their families. But then, dating from past few years, a series of killings in Plateau. I'm going to name a number of them. In 2022, on the 11th of April, we had gunmen killed about 142. Now, in two local governments, actually. And in August 2021, 16th, we also have 23 travelers returning from Bauchi State were killed also. People were killed in a community in Plateau State as well. And the president would always have to say something, give orders to get the culprits and all of that. Really what it should be. Shouldn't there be something done to reduce or curb the number of killings that has been happening in Plateau State?
First of all, let me, for the people of Plateau State, my condolence to every family that lost their lives. Right? You see, when you look at it, we are grabbing our treasures, our resources. You see, Plateau State is a place where people go for tourists. It's a weather that you want to, like the weather in the European state, a very cool weather, serene and very beautiful, right? But gradually, the place is gradually becoming a dead zone, right? Totally condemnable. It's something that is appalling. It's heartbreaking. So when we look at it over time and you say that, government comes in and out condemning the actions there, but we want to see a political will. The government have the fiscal responsibility to take care of the lives of the people there. So the government comes into power to protect lives and property. And when you will agree with me that most of the lives are being protected. Even people need to take up the fiscal responsibility that the government needs to do and protect themselves by themselves. And you see, they have some vigilante here, and the vigilante also are powerless. They can't do anything. And you see, we all blame the military personnel. But honestly, it's a misplacement of priority. These are not the military personnel. The military are just in there for them to be able to safeguard the situation. It's actually the duty of the police. They are to in the community. But when you look at these people now, the police will say they are not properly funded. The instrument, the weapon they are using, they are outdated. gain guns, and these people coming to attack this, they are coming to attack. They come up with not just AK-47, they have AK-48, AK-49. So how are they going to defend these people? And so the question also is that the security vote given to the governor, what is he using it for? Is he using it for his personal use? Because if you did know that these things has continued over time in Plateau State, they should have mounted a CCTV all around there. There should be some kind of surveillance. We are the drum that they should be used. And when people now saying that it's as if we do not value lives in this part of the country, over 160 people were killed, and the governor is busy in Lagos marrying. So let's assume that, he has been in Lagos before such an event happened. If people is going to say, people will say that, assume his position, it should not be part of the meeting. It should even give the people in Plateau one of the respect. If not flying back to Plateau, it should not be part of the people marrying. You lost 160 people. We all say that developed country. So these are developed country. When you see developed country and they lose a life, you will see they can even call for a state of money in that community. But we should come up and say that we value the life of our citizens. And I want to say this also, that you see, this is also sending wrong signal to the outside world. We are going out to woo investors to come into the country, and the way they are going to picture it and paint it, that this country you are going in to invest, there are a lot of killing there, your life are not safe, your properties are not safe, your investments are not safe. Rather for them to bring in the investment, which is the FDI, they would rather take it to another country, another continent entirely, and which is not good for our country.
All right then. Well, let's bring Chukwuma Okoro into this conversation. Good morning to you, Chukwuma. Welcome. Welcome to VOP this morning. Now, we spoke a little about this yesterday, but the president has, added his voice to it, calling for immediate action. One would wonder, when the service chiefs were given, marching orders, wasn't what the president is saying now part of what they were asked to do? What is the difference between apprehend the culprits and bring them to book? What is the difference between the president saying that now and what was said initially when the current service chiefs were put in place? Or are these just sound bites?
Good morning, Moses. Good morning, Imma, and good morning to you, Dr. Ganiyu. Before I start, Dr. Ganiyu, please, I would love you to send my own boxing virtually. My gift. You have to send it virtually to me.
No
That
problem.
said, Moses, we did some analysis about the judge situation yesterday, and it is still heartbreaking. The figure is rising. As at yesterday, we had 72, 150. This morning, we have 160 reported. And the president has asked the security agencies to weigh in and arrest the perpetrators. It gives me joy to know that, for one, the president has said something, which I will always say is just a soundbite. He's somewhere in Lagos doing whatever, I don't know. And it strikes me as one of those things that we normally do to keep moving on as a people, irrespective of what happens. Is the president asking, for the president to ask the security agencies to arrest the perpetrators means clearly the security agencies are supposed to know the people. So it brings us to the issue of counter-terrorism, counter-insurgency. What is the duty of the DSS? Weren't they supposed to know, with all the funding, all the training, their preponderance in all parts of the country, weren't they supposed to know up front that such an attack was going to take place? That is a valid question for the security agencies to answer. And we have heard this all the time. The president, Buhari, said it several times. And like you said, they are just sound bites. They just say it and nothing happens, and life goes on for Nigerians. What is more worrisome to me is that these killings have actually become genocidal. Yes, it's appropriate to call it genocide because the intent is there. If you talk about genocide, you have elements of genocide, the intent to kill and the physical element of it, the mental element and the physical element. The mental element talks about the intent to kill, and the physical talks about actually killing people, causing mental or bodily harm to them, deliberately inflicting on a group conditions of life calculated to bring about their physical destruction in whole or in part, imposing conditions intended to prevent birth by a group, and forcibly transferring children from one group to another. These 5 things I mentioned, the 5 elements, constitute the physical aspect of genocide. And if we look at what has happened over time, it is genocidal because it is targeted at a certain ethnic group, at a certain religious people, at a certain cultural group. So we begin to look at it in a larger picture of being a genocide that is expanding. And all that we hear from our president, from the leadership, is go after the perpetrators and arrest them.
Okay, but
And the
what would you
question
want
we
to hear,
should ask
really?
again,
What would you want to hear?
how about, come again?
What would you like to hear?
Moses, what I would like to hear is that those that people in Jos in 2021 have been arrested and prosecuted to deter future occurrence of the same event. That hasn't happened. Like I said yesterday, for the past 30 years or more, Jos has become a killing field. Not just Jos, the whole of the Middle Belt. In Taraba, in Benue, in Adamawa that constitute the Middle Belt, there is what we appropriately can be called ethnic cleansing by one group against another for 30 years. And it's not been classified as genocide, because if it has been classified as genocide, which it is, appropriate steps will have been taken by authorities to make sure that it ends, because one is against the Geneva Convention of 1948, is against the Rome Statute that established the ICC. But here, before our eyes, these things are happening. Again, the president has said, go after the perpetrators. And Moses, I will assure you that this is the last that will be heard of this matter. The next time you hear about Jos is probably when another set of people is killed.
Unfortunately.
Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. So I expect the president to go ahead of himself and ensure, if he doesn't have time to visit the place, he should ensure that the perpetrators are actually brought to book, because it has become is a norm for us now. Like I said the other day, we have become inured to the goals of violence that spring forth, that spring out of the Middle Belt, and dangerously is expanding to other parts of the country.
But we do.
If we don't watch it now,
yeah. Mr. Chukuma, okay, thank you for that line of thought. We know Mr. President. Now, this question is to you, Dr. Ganiyu. We know Mr. President as someone who is very vocal. When he says a thing, he commands it, and then it happens the way he has said. So we are hoping that this one is going to be different from that of 2021 that Mr. Chukuma mentioned. And also, he mentioned genocide. Now, a number of persons are of the opinion that this constant killings is being perpetrated by the headsmen for what they call ethnic cleansing. Now, we don't know for sure if that's what it is, but most people attribute the killings to that. So I would love to know what you think about it. Do you also Are you also in that school of thought who think that these killings are tilting towards ethnic cleansing?
I may not support it 100% because you see that it's just because we throw caution into the wind, right? When you look at these things, like a saying in my dialect, that you handle this thing something at the beginning, because once it grows, it might go to extent that your ends you might not be able to tame it again, right? So when you look at this thing, most of it are perhaps politically motivated. And these are, you won't tell me that they don't know those that are behind this, right? Like saying that said that it is someone that is behind a masquerade that make masquerade or made a lot of noise. So why can't we go after their sponsor? Why can't we go? As we speak, there are some parts, local government in Plateau that are taken over, that were taken over by bandits, and they were still there. So in other words, that the state is being divided within themselves, and we can do nothing about it. So the governor itself does not have the total control over the state. So if we are going to actually shows that, oh, we are in charge of this thing totally, let us flush it. Let us take people that are behind them. Let those people be apprehended. Let them be used as a deterrent. As a deterrent, as an example. Because if we are not careful, it snowballs to other states. Asari Dokubo is saying that, oh, this government is the worst government. They should not, that they will start making firing in rivers. So you see, if there are people that are saying that once we start this thing, you can't tame us, then we need to show that do we still have someone in control, or we have some people that they cannot be tamed, and we allow them to go scot-free, and we are also allow an average citizen whom we are sworn to protect their lives and property to suffer for it. I think it's high time. We appreciate the comment of the sitting president saying that, oh, these people should be nipped to the bud. So this should not be just be a statement. It should be followed through. Be followed through and show us that some people will be used as a deterrent. They will be disciplined, not just going to the street, pick some innocent people and say, these are the sponsor. It's just like going and pick a 72-year-old man saying that this is the man behind. What years does he have? And if you look at example of those kind of people, you see that where will they get the money to sponsor those kind of heinous acts? So we should be able to show that, oh, we have the willpower, we have the fiscal responsibility to guide and protect the life of these people. And if anything happens, some people will be used as a deterrent. Yeah, the president has said that let us send reliefs to people, let us help the... But those things it's not enough. Before you know it, some people will begin to leave Plateau to another neighboring country.
Oh, that is happening already.
So once they leave Plateau to a neighboring country, then who will the governor over? Who will he administer its responsibility on? And Plateau itself, how did they attract FDI, foreign investments? So, and the way they're going to I don't need to give some example on here. The way they're going to project it in the global space, they will not talk about Plateau, they will talk about Nigeria. In Nigeria, there are killings. And so someone that has vowed to bring over $15 billion as an investment to Nigeria, you know this risk analysis, they're going to advise them, hey, the risk portfolio of Nigeria is high. Don't dare go there. Go to some neighboring country and just divert a little bit of your investment into Nigeria, and we are not enjoying maximum benefit. So it's more or less that the president is going out to woo investment, to woo investors, and the investors saw what is happening and they couldn't come. So indirectly, we are using one hand to attract something and the other hand to throw it away. So I think we should take the decisive action. There should be political will to bring to book those people that are responsible for this heinous act and show to the world that, oh, Nigeria is safe to do business and also to stay.
All right, so Chukwuma now, a few things have been pointed out here. The president did say relief materials will be sent. He has ordered that relief materials be sent. There was a video I watched yesterday, after the incident where villagers were packing their belongings, their mattresses, bags into cars, moving away. And this has been touted to be ethnically motivated. Now, I've also spoken to a few indigents in previous programs, and they have said that look, even when some are arrested, when the villagers come together to form a vigilante and they arrest some of these perpetrators, they hand them over to authorities. The next thing you see is that, okay, this person's transferred, maybe for trial, taken to Abuja, and then nothing is heard. And then more attacks are perpetrated on the people. Now, the former governor, Simon Lalong, complained about these events, these wanton killings in Plateau State. This current governor is also crying out, and he's also saying, look, these people are obviously sponsored because the weapons they use are sophisticated. If these people are sponsored, why do you think government hasn't started apprehending their sponsors? Why do you think our intelligence agencies are not apprehending their sponsors? Now, bear in mind that the commander of Operation Safe Haven did say that they received 36 or 38 distress calls simultaneously, and they had to respond. Regardless, he said some of his men were even, are receiving treatment in hospitals, meaning they were overpowered. All right. Now, we also hear that the perpetrators operated unhindered for hours. I think I saw the paper 48 hours. I don't know when they started, but I saw the paper. They actually operated for hours. For hours. What do you make of all of this? I know it's a whole lot. I just put my thoughts out there. But what do you make of all of this? Why aren't their sponsors being apprehended? It feels like the same thing we are talking about Boko Haram and bandits and the rest of them. Your thoughts, please, Chukuma.
Yes, Moses, you have said a lot, and before I respond to you, I want to weigh in a little bit on what Dr. Ganiyu said. Dr. Ganiyu said he wouldn't describe it as ethnic cleansing, but I was expecting him to say what he would describe it as. If it is not genocidal, if it is not ethnic cleansing. Like I said, we did a bit of analysis yesterday about the events and previous events that gave rise or that have culminated into what we are discussing now, which is the frequent massacre of natives in Plateau State by non-natives, who most times wield assault rifles that are not sold in the open, that can only be received from the military end, from the command positions, from command posts. So I had expected him to give it an appropriate characterization away from ethnic cleansing if he feels that it is not that, or if it is not genocide, according to him. But like what the little analysis you gave, even a foolish man would be able to piece together the trade to arrive at a predetermined conclusion. That look, these things have happened over time. There were over 36 trace calls from indigents, from the victims, to the commander of Operation Safe. And within 48 hours, the responses were sporadic here and there. And in the midst of that, 160 people were killed within 48 hours. What does it tell you? It tells you that if you are looking for the sponsors, you should look at the people who were captured, the people who were not captured. The people that were captured, where did they get the military assault rifles from? See, Moses, we are on national TV, and I keep saying the best we can do for ourselves as a people is to tell ourselves the honest truth. If we begin to pepper over these things today, tomorrow, next year, we'll just be doing a circle show and still arrive at the same point where problems are not solved. The problem is structural. The governor is not in control of the security agencies. Why? Because the unitary federalism we are operating does not give him the powers to control the DSS. It doesn't give him the power to control the police. It doesn't give him the power to control the military. So what do you expect the man to do? I cited the instance of Enugu in 2014 when there was massacre of over 200 people in a place called Okpa. The governor put a call to the presidency and he was put on hold for 4 hours. For 4 hours. And by the time the call was answered and troops were sent in there, the damage had been done. They just arrested few innocent people, indigents for that matter. And that was the last we heard of that. So if you are looking for sponsors, DSS knows the sponsor. The military knows the sponsor. The police, they know the sponsor. See, what I expected the president to do when he came in, if he's a man of his words, I expected him to declare a state of emergency in the security sector. Because if Dr. Gani is talking so much about tourism, attracting FDI, yes, those things are there. But you have to make the environment conducive. See, businesses don't thrive where there is insecurity. I agree with him. So, but before we talk about that, let us look at the structure. Don't we? Is it not time we restructure this country and operate the true federalism? And I always keep saying, why don't we go to the basics, to the root cause of this problem? What is the root cause, Moses? The root cause, Moses, is that people want land. People want native lands of others, and the natives are not willing to give their lands. So why do they need the land? They need the land for grazing of cows, grazing of cattle. And in the 21st century, I'm saying, why can't you do ranching? Why must you move cows from Sokoto State, from Borno State to Akwa Ibom State, just to feed along the trough, where the vegetation is green?
All right.
You don't do that. You don't see it in any part of the country, and we are here trying to sound politically correct to impress.
All right, let me quickly ask you this one as we'll be wrapping up this segment very, very shortly. Now, the people are there are talks about people trying to defend themselves. Should the people now take up arms to defend themselves? Is that would that draw the necessary attention needed?
Moses, we have seen some instances where vigilantes in Zamfara and in Borno State were able to repel insurgents, to repel bandits. You know, so if the law says I should not kill, the same law gives me the right of defense. I should be able to defend myself. So if the people have a way of defending themselves, sure, why not? But even in trying to defend themselves, it should be in collaboration with the government. And presently, as we are structured, as we are constituted, the government, the state governments, the subnational governments, more or less are hamstrung. They can't do more. Are you going to form a vigilante,
all right,
and then arm them with AK-47, AK-48, or AK-49? The law doesn't allow that. Meanwhile, their opponents are brandishing assault rifles, military brand assault rifles. So what do? So the buck stops on the desk of leadership. And where is the leadership now? The president. Isn't it time we called another conference? If we can't toy with the provisions of the previous conferences, Isn't it time we call a new conference, a national one, even if it is not sovereign, but sovereign better? Even if it is not, why can't we sit down and talk? Everybody is aggrieved. We want a nation. For now, we are just a country, a state. We don't have a Nigerian nation. I see myself first as an Igbo before being Nigerian. And that is the fact of the matter.
All right.
I don't owe anybody any explanation because that is the situation I find myself.
All right then. Right. So thank you very much, Chukuma Okoro. Now let me ask Dr. Ganiu. You're a businessman. You're involved in tax auditing and all of that. So you thrive more in the business environment. So I see why you're looking at this from the investment angle. Now, but this might sound rhetorical, but I want to hear you say it again. What are the immediate measures that governments can take that will boost investor confidence, since this government is looking at bringing foreign direct investors into the country? In as much as we know that some are leaving and insecurity is on the rise, what are those immediate measures that will create the necessary optics that would bring investors, boost their confidence, and make them come down to Nigeria?
Okay.
From your perspective.
Beautiful question. But when you look at this, no businessman will invest his money in a place where he can't vouch of his return on his ROI, return on investment. You see, if there are insecurity around, people are dying, right? And the environment is not conducive to do business. So at that platform, he will think otherwise than throwing his money there, right? Even if the person is an immediate brother to his, he won't throw his money there because an average businessman wants to make a profit and wants to say that if I'm bringing my money in, I can repatriate my money back, right? So the most important thing the government should do is, number one, security apparatus should be strengthened, right? The security apparatus in every state.
Okay.
Because if an investor is coming into, they'll say they are coming into Nigeria, right? But the Nigeria is just a name. They are either coming into Lagos, or into Oyo State, or into Abuja, or into Port Harcourt. So it's a state they are coming into.
But the governors cannot, the security apparatus doesn't empower the governors to control the security agencies in the state. So should we now consider restructuring?
Restructuring has been part of what everyone has been talking about. Because if you can't say I have a position without being empowered. But I think the fear of also the center is that not manipulating in restructuring, if you now have power over the police or the soldier, if you are not going to use it against your opponent. So I think that's the fear. I just get that, because if they have the power over the police and the soldier, so they have their political opponent, they can use it to victimize them, right? To ensure that, to silence everybody. So there must be a reason why you run to the center, but it's not the best.
Okay.
It's not the best, because if when you look at outside the country, California, they have their own, they can dictate what they want to do, right? But the question is that there must also be measures in place. Okay. Once we restructure, and it's also dovetail here. Restructuring is the best way to go. And also the state must also come in that we must be able to self-finance ourselves. Not going to the center to demand for money. That is the reason why a lot of state does not look inward and make the whole place. Because if let's take, for instance, the governor of Zamfara, if he's self-financing itself, and he ensures that every resources it needed to finance the state is coming from the state, I can tell you for free, the state will be better than that. Okay. There will be a round table. Even those people in authority, they know those people that are perpetrating this. So if they need to come in as a dialogue and say, let's discuss this over, because in the long run, if the state is self-financing itself and there is no fund to use, it will be as dead as anything. But because, you know, there is this mentality that, oh, we run to the center to get funds. Even if we don't have any money to generate from the state, money is coming from the center. So because of that, this laziness, so there's no initiative coming. So even if we are going to do it, restructure will go across the whole hemisphere of the state. In terms of not only talking about, because you need the power of the military or the paramilitary or the police, you also need to say, how can I make this state industrious? I cannot make this state to self-finance itself. They call them the CEO of the state, the chief security officer of the state. So they should be able to live up to the expectations.
All right, then. Thank you very much. This would be a good place to anchor this conversation for today. Like Chukuma rightly said, we might come back again to talk about killings in Plateau, killings in Benue. It's an unfortunate one.
But we hope not.
We hope not, indeed. But we have another story coming up next.
Yeah. Up next on VOP this morning, Niger State government bans sale and consumption of alcohol. Details in a moment.